tuned in to a Grown Folks production.
In the mix
With the commish, Nate.
And just like that, we welcome you into Press Pass Live. Welcome to this Season 111 playoff preview show. We don't know who's in yet. We're going to unpack that here in just a bit. I am your founder and commish, Nate. Let me welcome in my buddy, Mr. Maniac. How we doing today, bud?
Doing marvelous, man. Looking forward to getting into the meat and potatoes of the OMFL here with the looking at some of these games and where these guys are sitting. But man, it's never a dull moment in the OMFL, that's for sure.
You know, it is the summer doldrums. People are unplugging, going on vacations, just spending more time outside. Why you want to be outside in this 400-degree weather is beyond me. You should be inside playing Madden, involved in the chat, but that's another conversation for another day. You ready to unpack week number 14?
I am ready to unpack this marvelous week, Nick.
Take it away, big fella.
Some big games in this week. So just looking down the line, you know, we've been talking about the Desperados. They failed miserably to the Steelers here, 31-12.
Did not see that coming.
I did not either. That was probably the shock of the week, I think, for score-wise. I really thought the Desperados were going to take it to the Steelers, but man, the Steelers have kind of reversed role this season and are playing kind of like what the Desperados were last season at this point in time. Man, Detroit, Las Vegas, they played a really good game, 37-31. This is one I was actually going to kind of peek at. The San Diego Toronto one, I believe this one was a CPU. That's the only problem is like we've had so many CPUs.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm have to question.
It's so hard to tell. Wait, was this game played? I don't know.
One I do know that got played was Arizona and the Giants, 34-24. Joker getting the big win versus the Giants. Both these guys are battling for playoff spots. I know the Giants are setting a little bit better currently for playoffs, but man, those Cardinals are kind of keeping things interesting and alive for themselves. Another one we could talk about was our game. This game was
It's a good game.
a really good game, man. It was. I know there was a lot of turnovers in this game, so that was a difference. I think we haven't had one of those games like that in a while for a lot of turnovers, but it was a good game between both of us, and we always have good games. Philadelphia took it to Dublin. I'm not sure. Again, this could have been a CPU, but nonetheless, Philadelphia gets the 42-15. Buffalo crushes Miami 30-13.
It looks like it was a sim.
Okay, yeah, that I just now seen the girl out there. Orlando, if this one was played, I think it was, but again, Kansas City side. So nonetheless, it was a 30-24 victory for Orlando, but it was closer. Another game that I really thought about talking about was the Cowboys. I think you even mentioned this last week. Probably gonna be like the game of the year or whatever. It was a really good game. But again, you just don't know if the guys are playing all out, not showing their hands, or was this everything they had on the table? But nonetheless,
I know what they weren't
Cowboys
showing in that game was defense. They weren't showing any defense.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But you know, maybe they're holding their defense. I know it seemed like the last couple of seasons, playoffs, hit the defense gets to rolling a little bit, for especially Dallas and San Francisco start keep cutting people out of the offensive side. But Cincinnati got a 38-10 win over Baltimore. Washington and that one was them. Seattle squeaks out a victory over Rams. The Rams again have been pretty impressive for that team. Had build around, and so you got to give it to them. But the one game I wanted to highlight though was the Houston Texans and Carolina. Hopefully, it wasn't a CPU game, but pretty sure got played. I know the Panthers are fighting for their playoff lives, and then Roger. We don't get to talk about Roger a whole lot, but Roger has done a good job this together. A really good season with the quarterback, and he's got the offensive side running pretty good. He's usually defensive minded as well. He struggled a little bit there, but in offensive yards this game, not totally crazy. 283 for the Texans, 99 for the Panthers. Both offense rushing yards were pretty close, 113 to 129 for the passing yards, 170 for the Texans, 270 for the Panthers. First downs, give them the nod to the Panthers, 20 first downs. Turnovers, both guys did have a turnover apiece. Third down conversions, couple red zone efficiency. The Panthers nod, there was percent. Got the 3 offensive red zone touchdowns, and at time of possession, a little favored Panthers, 22, almost 23 minutes, 17 for Texans. Player stats, Bryce Young, he has been up and down this season. This game he had a pretty solid up game. 3 touchdowns, 281 yards, 1 interception. Was sacked twice, but 26, 61%. And Yannick Blase, whatever. I like Colin's name, Blaze. I like that better. It's easier to say. But 11 to 23, 47%. He did have a touchdown and also, but he was sacked 5 times, so he's running for his life. Looks like in this Panthers do use a real pass rush. Rushing stats here, Najee Harris, 115 yards on 15 carries. No touchdowns. France, he had 82 on 13 carries. He did have a touchdown. But Panthers, Stockton, the Texans kept him in check pretty well. Only 17 yards on 8 carries, 1 yard, but he did have that touchdown in the red zone. Looking at receiving stats, we all know when Houston Rodgers playing, most of the time the passing stats, the wide receiver's going to get fed, but looked like the Panthers kept his wide receivers in check pretty well. Marco only had 3 catches. They have a touchdown, and that was long there. So he definitely always tries to get the long balls going. Logan Summers had 3 for 73, and then Monroe had 5 for Texans. But the leading guy here, Jonathan Mingo, he's been a hot topic point for us in a couple of shows. 6 receptions, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. And now I do remember watching this game a little. Yeah, he got open a couple sideline passes with streaks. He does what he does best, and in the end zone. Shark also had a couple 4 catches for 68 and a touchdown. He does tend to get all his receivers active in the game. On the defensive side, Sanborn, this guy's been an active player for the Panthers on defense, and so he's actually drafted 2 really good linebackers. I was trying to say running back for whatever. Linebackers the last couple of seasons with Barnes and then now Sanborn, but he had 10 tackles, 2 for a loss. Barnes had 2 tackles for a loss, 8 total tackles, also a sack, and then leading the charge for Texans, Mr. Pickles with 8 tackles. Your leading sack guy though is Derek Brown for the Panthers, 2 sacks. Then running up behind him was Laquan Jeffers. He had 1.5. But man, the Panthers get after the quarterback. Your interception leader guys here was Stake for the Texans. He's a rookie. He's actually been playing pretty well this season, so he might be in consideration for some rookie awards at the end of the season. So keep an eye on that. But also, Jeremy Chin had one for the Panthers. But a really good game. Both teams are obviously hitting in different directions. Bird playing for a playoff spot. Roger just trying to play spoiler. But it was a really good game to watch. Kudos to Roger for not rolling over and playing dead, because he brings everything to the table.
And dealing with, all the health things that poor Raj is constantly having to deal with. That's a look at week number 14. Let's take a look at week number 15. I'm going to try to skip these sim games. We had a bunch of sim games for some weird reason. Those Carolina Panthers and Washington Commanders played to a great game, 40-37. Carolina comes out on top on that one. It looks like Arizona and Pittsburgh went at it 52-30. I don't know if this game was really played or not, but the Arizona Cardinals have gotten red hot here at the end. 52 points on a Cincyberg defense is nothing to be ashamed of. That is a playing really, really good football. Those Desperados dropped a second game in a row here, 27-24 against Tim and his Detroit Lions. Denver with a 34-31 victory over New England. Toronto with a 24-20 victory over the Los Angeles Rams. So Bill getting some momentum going for his own team there. You in Orlando, was that played? Like, were you guys able to play this before you left?
No, it was a sim.
Sim,
Well, actually,
CPU game. Yeah.
Yeah, I played the CPU, but disconnected.
Me and Tampa Bay had a great game late yesterday afternoon. New York Jets with a 33-20 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. San Francisco flexing their muscles, I guess, on the CPU. Ravens, I don't know. Nipples feels like he's been gone the entire season. And then Kansas City and the San Diego Chargers 21-20 with a really good game there. But we're going to go back up here and we're going to talk about... where'd it go? Which game do I want to talk about? Oh, here it is. New York Giants and Las Vegas Raiders. 28-31. The Giants come out on top. 25 points scored in the fourth quarter alone. The Giants have had a couple of tight games here at the end, and he is well on his way to the playoffs. We'll talk a little bit about the NFC outlook, but the Giants are securely in one of those spots, and you can see here at the end, there's been some teams get red hot. 370 passing yards for the Raiders, 149 rushing yards for the Giants, 25 total first downs to 19, only one turnover each for them, and then a tight time of possession, 21:58 to 18 minutes. Let's look at a couple player stats here. Both quarterbacks played pretty good. Walter, 346 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 66% completion percentage, a 10.4 yards per average. Charles Norris, whatever, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times, but 69% completion percentage and a 10.5 yards per average. So both of these quarterbacks playing really good football in this one. Barkley had 76 yards, Mitchell had 69, and then looking at some of the receiving yards, 97 for Terrence Marshall, 84 for Pleasance, 83 for Stanford, and then some of the defensive players who played really good. Jude Mullins, 12 tackles on the day. A couple of guys with 2 tackles for loss. And then your sack leaders here was Simmons, Thibodeau, and Judge, each getting in on the action. And then the 1 turnover each, Joseph Marion, the cornerback for the Raiders, and Deontay Banks, the cornerback for the New York Giants, both getting interceptions. This was a tight game, and the Raiders getting some momentum here at the end of their season. I think we're going to talk about them. Yeah, we are going to talk about them here in just a little bit as we unpack the AFC. But what a good game between 2 very good teams that we're going to see here in the playoffs. I see you, Bill up in chat hanging out with us. That's a look at week number 15. You want to take a look at week number 16? There's not a lot to unpack here, so you kind of take that one as you want.
Yeah, it's not a lot done, but we do have 4 games played. We've got a lot of blowouts. I think the Dublin game is CPU for Black Knight. He's vacating, so he's out in Mexico somewhere. Toronto playing the CPU Ravens, man, whipping the Ravens.
Where's Nipples at? Has anybody checked in on this fella? Did he drown on these last trips that he's made? My goodness.
I think he got lost in the bottom of a
Lost in the sauce, yeah.
Man, the Steelers. I'm pretty sure these two guys played this game. Nice longer though. Man, the Steelers.
Bill says that Nipples is back, so that whooping was not on the CPU. That's Bill laying it down on the Mr. Nipples.
Oh well. Well, that was a good win then. He must have been drunk though. That's the only explanation. But we will talk about the one game that just got finished.
That one just got finished.
Ago. And so the Seattle Seahawks defeat the 49ers 31-24.
It's the second time?
10 points. Yeah, I think they sweep them for the, I believe. I could be wrong. But man, they scored 10 points in the fourth and they held the 49ers to 0. So 31-24 victory for Seattle. So that all wraps up NFC West and Seattle, that division crown. Looking at the box score here, 414 yards of offense for the 49ers to 3 Hawks. Looks like D-Money is putting that rushing attack to work with 215 yards to Seattle. Had 124. Good balance there for Seattle with 202 passing yards and 199 for the 49ers. 49ers, though, get a huge nod on first downs, 24-13 over the Seahawks. So, man, they were churning out some yards. We all know who was getting the ball. We don't even have to look at the player stats yet for the 49ers. We all know who was getting the ball. 100% though in their offensive red zone for the 49ers to only 40 for the Seahawks. So just looking at this, you probably think, well, the Seahawks lost this game. 26 time of possession, almost 27-13 for the Seahawks. So let's look at the stats, see what happened. Oh, Brad White was sacked one time, but he's 12 of 20, 60%. Not a whole lot of passing. One touchdown, so it looked like he was kind of keeping care of the football here with his quarterback. Trey Lance, something we don't see from the 49ers. No touchdowns and one interception, 13 of 19. So he didn't throw the ball a whole lot either. But when you got a rushing attack with Isaiah Pacheco, like the 49ers do, probably don't want to throw the ball a whole lot. 25 carries, 138 yards, 3 touchdowns. His backup had 12 carries for 67. Walker for the Seahawks had 93 yards on 10 carries. So he was churning out some big yardage. He had there 75 with a long touchdown. With touchdown, him backup Wagner bringing in 5 yards on 5 carries, touchdown as well. Receiving, Deebo Samuel 4 of 82. 49ers Metcalf for the Hawks 2 for 77. Christian Watson also had 4. Brandon Ayuk had 2 for 39. So really they spread the ball around a lot. Look at all the stats there. Like almost all their guys had some sense of excitement going on offense, catching the ball. On defense, looking at your tackle leader, Jamal Adams from LSU, the 11 tackles, 1 for a loss for Seattle. And then looking down, Niners, their top guy was Fanga.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
That sounds pretty close to me. So yeah, it's 6 tackles and 1 for a loss. Sack leader, Eddie Jarrett, old man from Falcons, getting a sack there. And your interception, Jason Dunn, rookie middle linebacker for those Seahawks. It looked like it was a good game. I just kind of tuned in like right at the last. I didn't get to see anything. Looked like they were exchanging blows for a while. throughout this game. But the Seahawks did get a really good fourth quarter with those 10 points and holding the 49ers to get the win.
Yeah, Meek said that they were 1 for 1 on the season. So I too thought it was a sweep. I think it was a really close game. And I think that's why you and I were getting that one wrong. Let's take a look at week number 17 and 18 before we unpack these playoffs. 49ers and Steelers. 49ers are going to be looking to just completely continue to establish themselves in that wild card spot. Pittsburgh dropped a couple of games, but then won big this past week. So we're looking for him to get things turned around. Seahawks and Desperados. We talked about the Desperados season in our prediction show at the beginning of season 111. I feel like are we 111 or are we 110? I don't know. I've got myself completely confused now. I'm pretty sure we're 111. Let me quick check. No, it's 110. Is it 110? Somebody help me out here. Somebody's got to know. It is 110.
Right, but yeah,
it's
every
110.
time somebody brings something up like that, I always
I'm all twisted. Right? I don't know why I'm all twisted, but I am. Anyway, Desperados in our prediction show, I said, had a tough end of their season coming up, and boy, they are right in the middle of it. That's going to be a really tough game against the Seahawks, Jets, and Buccaneers. I don't know what's up with Kevin. He seems to have just folded and given up on this Madden. He's ready to call it a night. The Jets are going to be looking to continue that momentum. Chargers and Raiders might be game of the week this week. Chargers trying to continue their momentum towards the playoffs. The Raiders are right in the mix. We're going to talk about their team a little bit. But the Raiders have found some game playing here really late. Lions Cardinals. Big tip of the cap to Tim and what he's been able to do at the end of this season. But man, Joker might be the hottest team in the OMFL right now, especially when it comes to putting up points. That's going to be a fun one. You and your Atlanta Falcons are going to go travel to the Dallas Cowboys and face two great teams getting at it. Who's going to play the most defense in this one? That's going to be the big question. That's going to be a ton of fun to watch that one. And then Panthers and Titans might be fun. I'm looking at you, Penguins. I don't, poor Penguins. He's, pretty quiet in the OMFL. He's pretty active in the Deuce, but Penguins, I'm looking at you to do some upsetting this week. And that's a look at week number 17. You want to take a look at week number 18?
Let's take a little peek. All right. So, Giants Saints. This could be an interesting one, especially. I know you're kind of like on the cusp, trying to get into the playoffs. This could be a big game, though. You guys battling out for possibly a spot there. The Desperados, again, we're talking about them, could be still fighting for a playoff spot, but the Chiefs have an opportunity to play spoiler and keep them out of the playoffs. Bills Falcons could be a good one. Big Hurt. Mm-hmm. I know he's got so much going on and stuff, but he plays really exceptional football and X's. So it's one. Mounties Panthers also could be a good match.
It's going to be a big one. Bill, I'm looking at you. Give me some help here. Do me a solid, brother.
He needs some help. Help. And so this one's probably one I need to tune in to, because both these guys have the tendency sometimes to play really defensive. So we might actually be in for a defensive matchup and defensive game. So it really, like you said, watch. I know the Lions are going to be playing CPU, so I don't think he's going to be back the way we churn out games. Pepper versus Steelers. We've seen Pepper one week just lay an egg, and then the next week it's like a offensive juggernaut. So whatever happens here, Jaguars could actually play some kind of spoiler towards the Steelers and that the AFC North. Maybe they could cause something to happen here with a victory that could throw that in for a tailspin. Dolphins Jets, always a good game to watch. I'm not even sure if these guys are even playing for a playoff spot, but the Jets fell off pretty hard this season. Dolphins as well. They always play good games in their watch. So I can say the Rams 49ers, nice longer the last time he played the 49ers. He actually played a really good game against the 49ers, kind of gave them a run for their money. So see what happens. 49ers getting ready to take vacation, or are they getting ready to gear up for the playoffs? So, so this one's Chargers Broncos. This one's could have big time playoff implications and also division winner implications here. So, both these guys always play really an awesome game to watch whenever you have a chance to tune into these guys. And last but not least, Bengals Ravens could be pivotal for that division again, like we talked about. But it just remains to be seen if Nips is around or if he's still living La Vida Loca or whatever. So
that's a good line. Yeah, he may be completely La Vida Loca. I have no clue what to expect. No OMFL news today. That's on me. Our guy Denbrew asked me early this morning, but I was already out of the home office. I had some meetings in the city today, and by the time I got back, he said, "Hey, I didn't record." So. Yeah, we didn't have any OMFL news. Today, what we're going to do for our special topic, though, we just want to unpack who we think is in and who we think is going to get left out. Bill does such a great job telling us in the chat, kind of laying it out of who's still alive, who's completely eliminated. I've got it right here on the screen when it comes to who is currently in and who currently isn't. We're going to take a look at the AFC first. Currently, you can see it on the screen. You got the Condors, number 1, Broncos 2, 7, Steelers 3, Jets 6, Raiders 4, Desperados, which caught my eye a little bit, and 5 Chargers. But looking over here at Bill, he's got a couple of those sort of moved around a little bit. Still live. Bills at 7-7, Bengals 7-7, Patriots 5-9, Titans 5-9. Texans 4-10, totally eliminated. Chiefs, Dolphins, Jaguars, Ravens. Mr. Maniac, let's unpack this a little bit. Let's talk about who we think is in and who we think is not going to get in at all. Good to see you, Bird, Bill, Meek. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. AFC, who we think is going to get those last wild card spots? I think the ones that are really left up for question. Technically, Desperados, Bengals, though they're sort of fighting it out. Who's all over there? Is it Desperados, Bengals, Steelers, right? Are the Steelers in that division? So Desperados at 8-6, Steelers 7-7, Bengals at 7-7. Those three are sort of fighting it out for the number 4 seed and currently one of those last 2 wild card spots. And then you've got the Raiders in one of those wild card spots at 8-6. He's battling out with the Bengals, the Patriots, the Titans, and the Texans. The Chargers feel pretty secure. The Jets, I suppose, are on the edge, but they're at 9-5. The Bills are at 7-7. I feel like that one's pretty secure. Who do you think gets in the AFC? Who gets left out?
Yeah, this could go like a couple of different directions. Obviously, you got 2 guys there sitting with the Bills and the Bengals, both at 7-7, and they're just like knocking on the door to get in. And we just talked about some matchups there. Kind of to end the season for these guys. And right now, also currently have 3 teams from the AFC West that are kind of occupying some playoff spots. So, but these guys could eat each other up a little bit because they're going to be playing some. Especially the Raiders got some really good matchups here against division opponents, and so that could either solidify them for playoff spot or knock them out. I'm actually seeing, and I know both these guys right here, Bills, Bengals, talking about different. Man, he'll have a team that has a stinker. But I do think, like, when it comes to, I guess, experience, you always kind of want to like lean towards the experience. I know. I'm really thinking the Bengals in my back of my mind have a good chance to sneak in to this final spot. I really think a lot of these other ones are locked down. I know the Condors, their own vacation, they're probably going to fall down. They're going to probably lose that spot, and so that's going to shift some things around a bit. But I just there's something inside me that tells me that the Bengals are going to get somehow get the last spot. I don't know if the Raiders are gonna fall. If I can just take a look at the team schedule here, looking at the Raiders last 3 games. Okay, he's got Desperados, Chargers, Titans. So he's got two games he's going to be facing current playoff spot holders. Whatever he does in these 2 games is going to be what decides his fate, I believe. And so if you look at last 4 games for him, it's only 1 win and 3 losses last 4. So he's kind of hit like a little bit of slides. Be able to turn things around and get things going for himself and solidify that playoff spot or falter, making things interesting. I just feel like that the Chargers and the Desperados, even the Desperados had a little bit of a slide. I think both these guys are probably going, if I had to call these 2 games, they get the, which forces, I think, Bengals possibly get and sneak into that last spot. Bengals also have Broncos. But if it turns out for the Bengals and the way that things have played, the Vikings have been a game a lot, Ravens that play a factor for Bengals and in the
I don't love how the AFC North is playing out, right? Desperados have dropped 2 in a row. Steelers have only won 1 in a row. At least the Bengals dropping the 1 in a row. Like all 3 of these teams have sort of hit some speed bumps, and we're not used to seeing that here in the AFC North, at least. AFC South is solidified. Yeah, the Condors probably will drop a couple of games here. Not exactly sure how long he is out, which that could really... I don't know. Somebody's going to get the raw end of that stick, right? The Condors, who are and have been the number 1 seed, are going to probably fall below that. And somebody's going to have to play the technical number 1 seed. And that's just going to get weird in all of the ways. Jets and Bills are still in it. But, the Bills have been just, life has not allowed him to fully engage. It looks like the Broncos, I'm assuming, have wrapped up this division. I know they're currently tied with the Chargers, but I don't know if tiebreakers. Maybe that just means the Broncos are in and the Chargers. I don't know. That's very confusing, but that's a really good division that's going to go to the very end here. This is a tough call. I do not have confidence in what I've seen the last few weeks in the Desperados, but it's also hard to put any confidence in the Steelers or the Bengals because we've seen a couple of speed bumps from time to time from both of those teams. I have no confidence in the Bills just because of life and engagement. Patriots, Titans, Texans, love you. No, you're not completely out of it yet, but yeah, I think you're out of it a lot like some of these other teams. So Condors, what happens there? It's going to be crazy just to see how far they slide or don't slide. I mean, I guess technically he could slide all the way to the 3 seed because if he loses all of them, the Jets win all of them. There might be some tiebreakers there that I don't know about, but that could go a long way for the Condors to drop all the way to the 3 seed. I think the Jets are secure. It really comes down to Desperados, Steelers, Raiders, Bengals, and flip a coin between those. I'm going to keep the Raiders in it. I'm going to say the Bengals win the division. Why am I saying that? I don't know. I'm going with history. Bengals win the division. Raiders stay in it. And I think that the Steelers get in at that 3rd wild card spot. I'm taking the Desperados out of it. And I'm just at the eyeball test and knowing the teams that he still has to face here towards the end of the season. The Desperados have just dropped too many games. I feel that were winnable games here sort of towards the end. And I think it's going to come back to haunt them. So I like Desperados out. I don't like it. I'm taking Desperados out. I'm putting Bengals in the 4 seed. I'm keeping the Steelers and Raiders both in those last 2 seeds. And the big question for me is who's going to pay the price for these Condors missing these last few games on vacation? How far does he drop? And what team is going to have to go play that team on the road? Because that is not going to be a fun game to have to play. Let's take a look at the NFC. Let me pull up the NFC picture right here. You got the Seahawks sitting at 13-1, Cowboys 13-1, Falcons 12-2, Giants 11-3, 49ers 11-3. Those all feel crazy secure. Okay, I was going to say something, but let's just let this play out. The ones left up in the air, the 4th seed with the Mounties at 8-6, Lions are still in it at 7-7. And Panthers at 9-5 at the last wild card spot from the AFC or NFC South. Saints at 8-6, Lions at 7-7, Cardinals at 6-8. Technically, all of them are still in the hunt. Black Knights, Bucks, Commanders, Eagles, Rams, and Vikings, they are all out. NFC and how this one plays out. What do you see happening over here? It looks like really you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams playing for 2 seeds.
Yeah, this is gonna get crazy, I think. And just kind of, I know I've always said I hate talking about. I've got a really tough last 3 games. All go for myself. I could come out of this. The ideal thing would be come out of this like 2-1. Worst case scenario, going 0-3 in these last 3. Which is very, very possible. That could throw some craziness into this as well, because that could, if the Panthers going to run last few up and actually take up, I think, the last or the 3rd seed possibly from me. So I mean, again, there's so many scenarios. I think you're going to see that if that happens, so that could cause a ripple effect for those guys that are trying to get in at the still alive. Their Bill's graphic there he's put together, or his breakdown, not actual graphic. He does it so good. But like you said, the Saints, Lions, the Cardinals, all trying to get in to playoffs there, and it's just really tough. One, Mounties, they're actually kind of helping possibly keep these teams alive, like the Lions. If the Mounties drop, Lions could jump up the spot, but it's not really going to help the final spot in the playoff from the seeding one. So, I see basically what we got on the screen. I think I think the Saints have a chance to sneak in if the Panthers fall, but you're gonna have to rely on pull out the Panthers schedule. Gonna have to rely on.
They only have the Mounties. I think it was Vikings, and I'm already forgetting the other team. I just put it up on the screen, but let's put up everybody's schedule here.
Big game with the Giants. Start off with 16. So
yeah, a big game against the Mounties, Panthers and Mounties. There's a big game between the Lions and Cardinals. So I think there's a couple of games in there: Saints, Giants, Panthers, Mounties, Lions, Cardinals, that are going to go a long way in deciding, who's going to win that one.
Yeah, and it really could go several different ways here. But looking at the Panthers schedule, we got the Giants and those 2 teams. If they defeat the Panthers and the Titans, we've seen him defeat Bills a couple weeks as well, so he could also play for this as well. So if, say, for instance, Panthers lose the next 3, that's definitely going to open up the door for Saints and actually get a couple wins here. Shout that also could open up tremendously an opportunity. Cardinals have talked about have come on really strong here the second half of the down the stretch, and he has been putting up lots of. He could as well, but I think main look at the playoff race. I think it's pretty much given that the Seahawks are going to finish out with that number one. I think Cowboys dominance beat, but what a consolation prize for the last place wild card Cowboys first in the playoffs. Cowboys, they have Seahawks, they have Desperados and Texans left. Cowboys actually have scrolling down he has Dolphins, Falcons, Commanders. Looks like the Seahawks might actually have the last two games out. That just by there could be a switch. There could be a change in. Just looking at that, I think if all these teams kind of handle their job here the last couple games of the season, it kind of play out the way Bill has it. But I think the biggest race that you have at 5 spot is I think that's where you chips, and then you still have the with the possibility of the Lions sneaking in.
Yeah, I'm sort of exactly where you are. I think it plays out exactly. It's boring. It's not a fun take. It's not a sexy but I think it's exactly going to play out the way we see it here. I think there are a lot of teams that are getting hot here at the end. Tim has won some big games, and listen, I'll be the first to admit Tim's in here. I have discounted what he has done towards the end of the season. I thought he was going to fold and fade away into oblivion. And I really thought Joker was not going to figure this one out and not going to get it turned around. And both of those teams have shocked me with the scores that they put up. So it's not going to completely shock me if they continue to prove me wrong here at the end. I think my Saints have played well, but they're going to come up just short. We get a tough game against the Condors as a CPU that if he were here, he would beat me. There's no question about it. But the CPU ain't easy, especially a CPU that is a 12-2 team right now. So that's going to be sort of a tough take. We'll see how that one plays out. But then I still got to go play the Rams, who we've talked about a lot this season, who are just pesky and can beat anyone. And I struggle with pesky teams. And then we've also talked about the Giants and how great he's playing. I barely beat Colin last season. Maybe it's been 2 seasons now since we've played. He just seems to know how to play really well against me. So I think my Saints come up just short. I think Lions and Cardinals could shock us, but they are trying to dig themselves out of some big holes. And the Mounties and what Bill has grown and been able to do with that team, I feel like he's found his footing with them. And I think the way that he has it drawn out here is exactly how it's going to play out. And that's going to set up for some really fun games. I don't feel any envy in me for the Panthers and Bird to have to go play the Dallas Cowboys. You and the Giants are going to be a really fun game. And then poor Bill and his Mounties are going to have to go play the San Francisco 49ers as a number 5 seed, which just absolutely sucks. But we'll get on that one into the next show as we start to unpack who was in and who wasn't. Jay Bowles said in the chat, I'm a little bit delayed on the stream, but I do agree Raiders have 2 huge games coming up that will decide the fate. And I'm going to try to make a push. But with my previous 3 to 4 games, I've sucked. I'm right there with you, Bowles. It's been a tough end of the season as we come to a close here. Let me look. I think the mailbag is empty. I didn't remember seeing any mailbag questions, but we're going to pull it up. We're going to look anyway. The mailbag is empty. Don't go putting anything now. It's a little too late. I think it's actually perfect timing. Sounds like the wife is home. So we're going to put a little bow on this one. A nice, quick, fast Press Pass Live. Next week, though, will not be fast. It will not be quick. We will be unpacking our predictions for OMFL Season 110 playoffs, including OMFL Bowl number 110. So, Mr. Maniac, give me one final closing thought as we wrap things up here.
Man, I know like it seemed like it was just like I was kind of struggling to find, like you said, it's kind of boring, because it looked like it's gonna be like exactly the way Bill has it and stuff. So it's kind of struggling to find some points to talk about, but I think really it's gonna be a good end of the cycle. I think it's gonna be a good season ender. I think there's gonna be some intrigue happening as the season ends here, and man, I'm looking forward to some Madden 25 news. Then NCAA is, I think, 38 days away now. That's right, 38 days away, something like that. So we're kind of starting to get the motor rolling a little bit for. I guess we're gonna go with the Deuce Dynasty for the one that we're gonna be running. Got 24 guys, I think, already kind of signed.
Nice.
Wanting a spot. So, and we're gonna try to do because I know a lot of guys. There seems to be a affinity with Ohio State and a couple other teams I can't remember right now. So, we're going to try to do a team draft and draft spots and let guys pick from there. But I'm looking forward to it, getting into a new, different game. But I'm still excited about seeing what's going to happen with Madden 25. It's a to play as well. So I'm looking forward to having a little bit of downtime from Madden, but I'll be geared up, ready to go by the next Madden. Things cranked up and rolling.
Yep, I agree with you. I can't wait to start dropping some new news segments. We're trying to find a Friday that we can bring back Grown Folks Live, which is our Friday news segment sort of podcast about what all is going on in Grown Folks. But as I start to gear up, I'm also transitioning to a new job, wrapping up my last week where I currently am. After 10 years, I'm transitioning into something brand new. So I got to figure that out. I got to figure out what my weeks look like, my day-to-days look like. It's all going to be a little bit different for a little bit. And while I figure that out, there may be a slight change to Press Pass Live and when we come to you and when we don't. But Maniac and I will get that figured out and get that announced. Hopefully everything will sort of stay the same. If not, we'll move to maybe a weekend or maybe we move to a night. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll get it announced and let everybody know. But also ready to start pumping out some news for NCAA. And I think I've really honed our focus of the news segments. It's going to be FPS. It's going to be dynasty mode, running a dynasty. It's going to be running a CFM, all the other stuff. There's plenty of other people out there that you can go and listen to, but it affects running a CFM, if it affects running a dynasty, or if it is a first-person shooter, we're going to go ahead and do some news on it. So I can't wait to do that. Lots of good stuff coming up. Looks like a lot of people on vacation enjoying themselves. So hope you guys are having a blast here on this Monday. Mr. Maniac, I appreciate you. Thank you for making some time to come and to be with me. We're going to wrap it up, put a bow on that. So next week, when we come back to you on Monday, we will do a Press Pass Live Season 110 playoff prediction show. We'll give both of our predictions. We'll break down every game. Hopefully by then we may even have some games. I don't know if we'll have some games, but we should be really close about knowing who's in, who's not. We will be able to give our prediction show about who we think is going to be in the bowl game. And then maybe Maniac and I can find a couple games to call. If he ever slows down, poor guy's been crazy busy. We haven't seen him in quite some time. So Maniac, thanks for making some time for me today. Guys, I love you. Remember, take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. Know that you matter to me. I appreciate you for being here. Thanks for all the chat, for being in here. We'll see you in the next one, all right? Peace.
Deuces.
Yeah.
Smash that like and subscribe.